We've got a deep episode for you today. I've got Jared Bleznick from Blez Sports Cards here in studio. Blez Sports Cards is, of course, one of the biggest breakers there is out there anywhere. They do tremendous numbers. And Jared also owns a shop, Legacy Sports Cards, in Las Vegas. He's got a lot of thoughts on the industry, where this is all going, and also what has made him successful and what is going to make every business in the hobby and every collector more successful going forward as well. We got a lot to talk through, a lot of news from the Topps Industry Conference that we're going to break down and analyze on how it helps or hurts all of our businesses and the future of the sports card hobby. Let's get started. Jared, welcome to the show.
This is, it's great. Thank you for having me. I mean, this store is unbelievable.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for coming to check out Cards HQ. We're obviously recording this right after the Topps conference. You were here in Atlanta for the Topps conference, and we're going to talk about all the news and so much stuff going on right now in the world of cards. And of course, you've built up this massive card business, store, breaking, all this kind of stuff. We're going to get into all of that. How do you feel about things right now, though? Like state of the hobby, raw feelings, raw emotions, a lot of news announced this week. How are you feeling about things?
The first thing I want to say is from the conference, and I actually made a video about this on social. How about that news with David Liner coming out about the redemptions?
Yeah, that is a huge, very collector friendly.
That, I don't think people realize how big of a deal that is, because a lot of people are afraid to invest in wax, knowing that there's redemptions in a lot of these products, and they may never get their cards.
Yeah.
To put a 10-year window on that, that's game-changing.
Yeah, and for the audience who maybe didn't catch it, so typically with a new wax product, with a new sealed product, there's about 2 years till the redemptions expire. So if you're opening up a box of 2023 baseball, you're probably already a year into the redemption window. You got like 1 year left, which means that if you're opening up a box of 2018 baseball, Ohtani's rookie year, you're cooked in terms of redemptions, right? But they've now raised it for only for products since the time Fanatics acquires Hops, but they've raised it to a 10-year redemption window.
I mean, it's unbelievable. And I mentioned this, like 22-23 Bowman Chrome U basketball, the first real Wemby autograph on card. He was a redemption.
It was. And
that card's expiring in less than a year.
Yeah.
The fact that you now have another 8+ years and the super hasn't been hit. And there's been reds that are still left. There's some golds. That's like, I still can't get over how big of a deal that is, because if you think about it, right, it's like, we know this, the collectors don't like redemptions, right? But in their heads, it's like you have so long to redeem it. And they also said on top of that, a lot of the cards are ready, that they've been signed, most of them. And you also have to give Fanatics credit for the fact that the newer products barely have any redemptions in them to begin with. So this is better for the products that have been out for the last 2 years, like you said.
So the Victor Wembanyama one's a really interesting one, right? So as a breaker, so you're one of the biggest breakers in the business. You recently got notoriety for pulling 3 of the biggest Nebula cards from Prism. You got what, the LaMelo Ball, the Anthony Edwards,
and the Maxey,
the Tyrese Maxey. So a product like Bowman U, Victor Wembanyama's first Bowman autographs, that's a product that I suspect if you were able to get your hands on it, and maybe you already have your hands on a lot of it, that 3 years from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now, if Wemby has made multiple All-Star games, maybe Wemby wins an MVP award, maybe he leads the Spurs, to the NBA Finals, his market's going to go crazy, and people are going to be looking back to those first auto cards of his from Bowman U, that product, now that we know the redemptions are still going to be good, could become ultra valuable in 5 years. Whereas otherwise, people would be afraid of that product in 5 years if it was still sitting unripped, because they would be worried they would never get the redemption if they hit a Wemby auto.
Listen, I said it. The box of Bowman Chrome U doubled overnight. because people are afraid in their back of their mind, hey, this is going to expire, and it's happened. Like you said earlier, Ohtani was live in Bowman. He was a redemption in Bowman Chrome. And I know that's like 4 or 5 years ago at this point, but anything that comes out, they're going to honor it. And again, it's so crucial. It's such a big thing.
Yeah.
And we already know, I mean, I've been to San Antonio. I've been to a few of the games. Like, the hype with Wemby now is like, I mean, we see how great Wemby is. You have top NBA players already telling us that, like, this guy could be a top 5 player next year, right? So you have to realize, too, is like Wemby doesn't have a lot of autographs out there, right? Like, this product came out over a year ago. So it's, I would say 85% of the product's been broken. There's not much left. It's just going to keep going up until that super gets hit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredible. Well, speaking of Wemby, another big announcement, obviously, from the Topps conference was the fact that they will have Topps Chrome basketball. There's actually going to be a whole set, I think 8 different Topps basketball products from the 2023-24 year that are going to start coming out this summer and on into the fall. 8 different products that you can get Wemby rookie autos in, because Wemby autos will be in these products, along with, they mentioned a lot of all-time greats. You got like Larry Bird autos in there. You've got Shaquille O'Neal and Magic Johnson, as well as the all-time greats currently playing, LeBron autos. That's a big deal. Steph Curry autos. So it seems like there's going to be a lot of really interesting products in the basketball side from Topps on the horizon.
And from what my sources have told me, I think some of those vet autos are actually going to be on card.
Yeah.
So, right now, like, yeah, you're getting Curry autos, but a lot of this stuff, some of it's on card and some of it's sticker. I just think getting the top players to be on card is so valuable long term. And I think the rookie cards don't matter as much, sticker or on card. It matters, but for the vets, you want a LeBron on card auto because you haven't seen them in so long.
Yeah, I agree. And then when you get a LeBron Wemby dual auto, which I assume is coming, they didn't officially confirm that, but I assume you're going to get the LeBron Wemby dual autos and that kind of stuff. It's going to go nuts.
Yeah, we saw the card of Wemby, the photography. I mean, it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, growing up in the 90s, my favorite products were Topps Chrome and Topps Finest basketball, 96, 97, 97, 98. The fact that they're going to be bringing all that back, and I know it's not licensed today, but it's obviously coming, it's just huge. I mean, Topps Chrome, the 2 best brands in our industry are Chrome and Prism, right? So, at the end of the day, I mean, that's what people want more than anything else are those 2 brands. And as a collector, I'm super excited for Topps Chrome. I think it's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah. It's going to be exciting times ahead. So tell everybody a little bit about the business that you've built, right? You've got your shop, you got your breaking business. Tell everyone about this.
I was a collector like most of us for a very long time. I have 2 younger brothers. You're obviously very close with C. Blez, and my brother S. Blez. They came to me, actually. Scott came to me in 2015 and wanted to turn our hobby kind of into a breaking business. And at that point, there were probably 25 breakers in the entire industry that existed. It was a very small group of breakers. Back then it was called Breakers TV. And people would stream on there. And it was honestly a very poor platform, but it was so early that it didn't really matter. And yeah, we've just been focusing on, the 3 major sports for a very long time. We came from New York, and then my poker background got us to move to Vegas, and we've been there for the last 6+ years, and we're very fortunate to grow and have a community of collectors that love collecting sports cards. And yeah, we stream on 4 YouTube streams every day. We separate each sport. So, baseball, basketball, football. We have a pop channel, which is all the miscellaneous stuff, the Disneys, the Marvels. And, we focus hard on streaming. We stream 60+ hours a day across, all the different networks. And on top of that, I was very fortunate that back in 2010, 19, I had a friend that wanted to kind of get out of the business, and he owned a store in Vegas. And he came to me and he's like, Jared, like, again, people have to understand 5 years ago, and we talked about this at the conference, Michael Rubin has changed the whole game of sports cards. This wasn't the cool thing 5 years ago. You weren't telling your friends, oh, I own a sports card shop, right? But it wasn't till Fanatics kind of brought that image and the momentum of like, this is cool. And it kind of came with all the athletes and like, it's more mainstream. Like, pre-COVID, sports cards wasn't mainstream whatsoever. So at the time, it wasn't that big. He came to me and wanted to sell the shop. And at the time, my dream as a kid was to own a sports card store, right? I grew up living in card stores. I'd sit there for 5 hours a day. I would study the Beckett. I knew everything. And, I got lucky to get into the Vegas market, which at the time there was like no card stores in the whole city as of 5 years ago. And now there's like probably 5 or 6. And we moved into a store. We expanded because we had it, we outgrew that. And yeah, so I have a store, Legacy Sports Cards, and then Blez is our breaking company. They're separate businesses, but I just love being a part of both of them, and I just, my whole life is sports cards. And, I kind of joke around that like my poker background and like when I'm playing poker, when I do these interviews, sports card, you've seen it. And it's kind of true because my love is this, right? I did poker because I was like, I'm one of the best in the world at playing Omaha. And I kind of did it for the extra money. And I enjoy beating people in competition. But my true love is this. And, that's what me and you share is like sports cards,
And I hope people have seen some of the clips out there of when you even call timeout in your poker games to open sports cards or talk about sports cards.
So to touch on that, we were playing this PLO tournament, the first ever $100,000 buy-in, and we're at the final table. And I told the tournament director, I play quick. A lot of these guys play slow. I already know in my mind what I'm doing. I go to the tournament director and I said, like, Paul, I'm like, why are you giving us all these time extensions, right? So it was a 3-day tournament. So the way it works is they give you like 8 extensions for 30 seconds the first day. Then you make day 2, you get 8 more. Then day 3, I think you get like 6 more on the final table. And I said to Paul in the beginning of the tour, I'm like, Paul, this is way too many. If we're playing a $100,000 buy-in, we should know what we're doing pretty quickly at the highest level. So by the end of it, I barely used any of them. So I asked a player at the table, I said, like, are these used, like, can I just use these whenever I want? Like if I want to go to the bathroom for 5 minutes or whatever I need to do. And the guy goes, they're just like timeouts in football. You could just use them whenever you want to use them. So I'm like, okay, I want to get creative with this. Like I have all these time extensions. I know I'm not going to use them even if I win the tournament because I play quick. And I'm like, I'm just going to sit here for like 3 minutes and open one-on-one basketball. And the truth is my opponents got so tilted because of it. They hate, and I was sitting there opening it. And I had a guy to my left, Chidwick, who's one of the best in the world. He's like a robot. He doesn't talk, but I was opening the cards and I was showing him, and I knew he didn't give a fuck. Or I knew he didn't care at all, right? But I was doing it to just annoy him and get under his skin, and it worked to perfection. It was so good. I'm like, oh, here's a LaMelo Ball rookie that's like $800, and we're playing for like $1.5 million. And I'm like, oh, my God, I just rolled a LaMelo. But it worked out great. And, like, that's my job at the poker table is to get under their skin and, like, rile them up. And it actually worked, and it helped me win.
That's incredible. Meanwhile, a brilliant little promotion for the hobby and your business as well.
It was the greatest marketing I could have ever done. It was, to this day, it was the greatest marketing. But more importantly, and I've said this before, the first interview I did of a tournament I won a few years back, I pride myself on talking about the hobby. I didn't go out of my way to say, oh, Blez and my company, buy from us. I made a point to talk about, I don't care about poker, sports cards. And the whole community like looks at me as like, oh, like we want Jared playing poker because he's representing us in our world. Because I'm not going out there, oh, I have to advertise my company. I'm doing it for the community. And I had so many people come up to me and say, hey, like, we love what you do. We respect what you do, and you do it for the hobby. And it's good because there's a lot of similarities, but there's a huge crossover between poker and sports cards. And my job, I feel like when I'm playing these poker events, I want to try to get the poker guys over to buy sports cards.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. I love it. Well, I appreciate you publicizing it and bringing it to the masses. And it's a fun way to do it. Certainly a viral way to do it.
And it's funny too, because like when I talked to the producer of the poker shows, so when I did the first interview and he's like, I said, oh, I don't care about this tournament, whatever. Maury comes up to me and he's like, Jared, what the hell are you doing? I look at Maury. I said, Maury, I said, shut up. I said, talk to me in 24 hours. And then I texted him and I'm like, you want to apologize? Because it got the highest amount of views. They were posting it. It was getting retweeted by Ken Golden and all the top poker players. Daniel Negreanu, okay, a friend of mine. Phil Hellmuth, friend of mine, 2 biggest guys in poker, okay? They retweeted the interview. Daniel Negreanu to this day says that was the greatest interview I ever did. And at the end of the day, because listen, you win a poker tournament, right? You win in any sport. What do they say? The same thing. Oh, my opponents played great and we're lucky. All this, it's all just nonsense. I want to say things that people aren't saying. I want to give the interview that people don't say but they think. And that's what it's all about, is speaking the truth.
Yeah. Well, you're certainly an entertainer. And how much, so the success you've had with breaking, obviously now you're one of the biggest breakers out there, period. How much of that comes down to entertainment, or what would you say are the secrets of building a successful breaking business?
You nailed it. I mean, if I talk to someone that comes up to me and says, what do you do for a living? My response is, I'm in the entertainment business. Oh, really? What do you entertain? And then I go into sports cards. The reason why we are at the top of breaking is we're an entertainment company. And that's what comes first. When we were with all those businesses at the convention, you got 500-600 people there. I'm going to entertain my people as well as anyone in the world. And at the end of the day, that's why they buy from us. It's the same box of cards that you could buy from anyone. I don't have anyone on my stream unless they're going to be entertaining and they're going to engage with the audience. And there's a certain standard that I hold in my company to where, like, I'll have decent breakers and they're like, oh, am I going to get more time on camera? My answer is that you have a long list of guys. I mean, we have 10 breakers that are very, very good breakers. And, and it's great because our biggest edge as a company, and I said this the other day to someone, is that everyone at Blez puts Blez first. There's no 9 to 5, there's no it's 8 o'clock. Like my basketball breaker, Jags, it's like, he gets on at 4 and it's like, he's off at like 12. It's never 12. It's like, oh, you're off at 2 o'clock. Oh, that's early. Like, and that's the thing, is like they put the business first. It doesn't matter. Like, and that's what our breakers do. It's like, this isn't like, to me, it's a business, right? But at the end of the day, it's a community, right? We bring something where it's like, we're their entertainment every night. Like when I meet, the customer, I've made a lot of friends, but it's always like, I turn you on, I get home. They're in the background. It's weird because it's like, it'll be 3 a.m. and it'll show like 80 people in the room, let's say. And like, let's just say we do a giveaway and it's like, we might just have like 25 people that respond. It's like, because 50 people left the computer open as they're going to bed and they're just like, because they just leave it on in the background all the time. So like you said, it's entertainment, right? They could buy the same box from you or me or anyone else. They choose to buy it from us because of who we are. And the reality is, like, I've made friends with a lot of these people. Like, I think that's the biggest thing, is like, I talk to like my people all the time, and again, we share the same passion. We love the hobby.
Yeah, I completely agree. It felt like at this Tops conference that just concluded that this was in some ways kind of a real critical moment for the hobby. it felt like Topps and Fanatics were saying, like, this is the time. We want businesses to reinvest. We want card shops to up their game. We're gonna judge card shops on their ability to up their game. We're gonna tell them they have to up their game in some cases. We want card shops to open up multiple locations. We want breakers to be more entertaining. It feels like the stakes are raising, the investment is increasing, and the stakes are raising all at the same time. What was your takeaway from all of that?
So I love it. I mean, Fanatics' idea, they want people to be successful, but they also don't want people in the space that aren't going to work for it. So I respect anyone in any business that works hard. That's my number one thing. You work hard, you deserve to make money if you're good at it. Fanatics' idea of success in this business is you work hard, you will do well in this space. But the people, there's many shops that have been around forever that, yeah, they expect to get an allocation and they expect to just make money by having a shop. And if I'm Fanatics, that doesn't work for their model. Like, we talked about this earlier off camera. You know, look at your shop. It's got to be you doing this. If you're not the face of all this, it doesn't work the way it does. So the reality of it is Fanatics' idea of success is putting money back into your business. And it's like they want to walk into a card shop like Cards HQ. That's what they want. They want to see nice presentation, cleanliness. You guys have a huge selection of wax, of singles, the breaking studios, and again, you obviously invested a ton of money into this and put a lot of time into it. So for the viewers watching this, not every shop's going to look like this, right? And they can't expect that. But there's a standard, and that standard's not, all right, we're just going to walk into a card shop. It's a mess. There's stuff everywhere. Like, a lot of it's presentation, and there's two huge parts of this business. There's the breaking side, and then there's the in-store. As we noticed, I would say the store to breaker ratio at that event was probably 5-1. So for every breaker, there were 5 stores there. So stores as a whole move a lot of product, right? Breakers move way more product, but there's way less breakers out there. So if you have 100 breakers, they're probably moving way more than 500 stores as a whole. But shops are very important to this business. And the reality of it is that, I talk about this with David Liner all the time. Like, we grew up in card shops. Like, we're not in this business if it wasn't for card shops. And I get it. We're in a different era right now of, like, we're in a different generation where it's moving towards the internet. And for someone that has both, I would say that there's always room in the hobby for both. There's a certain element in this industry. Like, when the digital stuff came along, I got to be honest, I wasn't high on it. You know why? Because this is a touch and feel business. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to touch, we're card people, right? Don't you love touching a card?
Yeah, holding it.
Yeah. Like, I'm not saying the digital stuff won't work. I think it will. There is a place for it. But for the card nerds like us that love it, like, I want to be able to look at a card. Like, I get goosebumps. It sounds crazy, but, like, I go through your showcase, and one of my favorite cards of all time, 97, 98 Topps Finest Tim Duncan rookie card, right? It's not an expensive card, but I see that was my childhood. I opened maybe 4 to 5 boxes of that product when I was a kid, and that was a lot.
Yeah.
I was broke and had no money. So, like, just seeing that card in person, I will always see that and be like, oh, that's my childhood. My biggest thing that I always say about this business, it's all about memories, right? My favorite part of breaking, we just hit the $250,000 Edwards Nebula bounty. It's like, I made that guy's year, like, in Asia. Like, I made his year. That's a moment he will never forget the rest of his life. That's everyone in this business knows the biggest card they ever pulled. They know what time of day, where it was, who they hit it with. That is the best part about this business. It's the memories and it's the moments that last forever. You can't put a price on that.
It's really well said.
Yeah, it's the truth, because you always know where you hit your biggest card.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that doesn't go away. Like, for someone like me that's done well in poker, I look back at my career in my 20s when I was playing full time. I just played cash games. A lot of people didn't know about me because I wasn't traveling and playing tournaments because I didn't need to. In poker, the cash game players were always the better players. Tournaments was more for like trying to be famous, right? I never cared about that. I wanted to make money. But now as I'm older and I've done well for myself, I don't really care to play cash games because there's like no notoriety in that. When you get into a different industry and you play a tournament, it's more respected by, your peers, and it's different. So it's like things change with time, but as you get older, you care less and less about earning money, and you care more and more about like your memories and moments in life that you'll just hold on to, because as we all know, money comes and goes. Like, so that's how I feel.
I love it. Deep thoughts here with Jared. Do you think that's an interesting question, right? Like, your brother's a little more out there publicly within the sports card world, Chad. You're seeing some too, but I think there's a perception by some in your hobby, and your younger brother obviously does a lot of your other brother, Blez, does a lot of the breaking content, and that kind of thing. I think there's a perception in the sports card hobby that you guys are like these three crazy guys from Vegas. Like, Blez is, got his shirt off and doing his dances and all this kind of stuff. Yet, as I've gotten to know Blez a little bit more, but getting to know you a little bit as well, like, you guys are actually extremely introspective, extremely thoughtful, extremely measured, deep thinkers about all of this.
Well, I'll say this, that to go back to your question before about like the entertainment of breaking, I would say the number one reason of Blez's success is the fact that we're a family brand of, I got Scott into cards when I was 6, he was 3. Scott got Chad into cards, right? So, I don't want to come off in this way, but it is the truth. Between me, Scott, and Chad, there's no one in the world that knows more about cards than the three of us combined. That's just factual. So when we are breaking, when we are talking about cards, when we are when we are talking about content or whatever, there's a respect level by the whole industry. Okay, Blez, we know the market better than anyone. And I think the other businesses, like all the breakers, the top breakers out there, they all look at me as the guy, right? They look up to me, all of them, all the young guys that have come up, and they're like, I'm the OG, and that's the thing. It's interesting because we all have different niche. Like me, Chad, and Scott, we all also bring something different to the table. Like Chad, his content, even though I think at times he's a complete idiot, the way he is as a person, but Chad's like this lovable kid that knows cards. Now he's doing all the sports betting stuff, but like he's like a younger version of me, right? Like the way I was, and now I've matured. And Blez is like, this guy has never not touched a card a day in his life. Mm-hmm. He's around cards. Like, I got to college and like I had that phase a little where I was out of it for a couple of years. Blez has been in cards every day of his whole life. Like, his knowledge is better than anyone of cards in the world. It's just what it is. And so when you combine that, and then you have the breakers we have that also know a lot, and on top of that, we also know a lot about sports. So you combine that. But like, yeah, we all have different personalities too. And that's the biggest thing I've learned about the collectors is like they gravitate towards different people too. Like there's some guys like, all right, I love Blez, or like there's people that don't like Blez, but people are going to watch Blez one way or another. Yeah. So he has his audience, he's getting everyone.
Yep.
But I would say 20% of the people don't like him, but they're still going to watch him because he's entertaining. Yeah. So again, the beauty of what we're doing here is like we're all in the same way. We all speak our mind and our truth. And I think that's the biggest thing in all this is that if you're not authentic in this space, you're not going to make it, because it happened during COVID. You had people come into the business, see that there was easy money. They went broke. They weren't authentic. They weren't real. And the collectors are smart. If they know you don't know what you're talking about, they're not going to spend money with you. Mm-hmm. They're just not. They don't respect you. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, you know, I mean, that's from a breaking standpoint, and from a shop standpoint. Like, I remember, you know, me and one of my best friends in the world, you know, Tom, we bought the shop together. And I said, I'm not buying the shop unless, you know, Mark at the time was like the manager of the old shop. I said, I'm not buying this unless he's there and he's still with us. Because Mark, he knows all the guys, right? He's friends with all the guys that come in. It's like, how do you need that?
You need the relationships, yeah.
You need the relationships, you know, like, and we talked about this earlier. It's like, no one in sports cards, they don't want to go to a Lids and buy cards. Mm-hmm. They want to go buy cards with the person that they've been friends with. You know, like one thing I don't believe in, and like a lot of businesses say this, oh, this is my customer. I never say that, because to me, that like my community, that's my family. Those are my people, because that's our life. It's like, I never call someone a customer. It's like, you know, I've made a lot of my closest friends are through Blez. You know, that's just how it goes. Like, so, you know, they're to me, they're not customers. They're like, it's like a Blez. It's our family, and that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, you know, we just love it.
I love it. I feel your passion for it. I appreciate it. And thank you for coming, checking out our store. It's been an honor to have you here with us today.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, I walked in here and, you know, like, obviously I wanted to see this, and like, you know, the marketing you've done, you know, with all this. And like I said earlier, I have a lot of respect for you and what you've done in the space. And, you know, this is the biggest card shop in the world, you know, and to have this, and I mean, to be only 3 months in, is that right?
Yeah, 3 months.
I mean, this is very impressive.
Appreciate it.
You know, to be able to do all this, and, you know, because I know, you know, from a smaller level, it takes a lot of work to be able to run a store, breaking, you have all the studios, and like, it's a lot. Mm-hmm. But it's really great to see. And, you know, earlier, you know, we had a lot of card store owners in here, and we were all talking, and I've gone to all their stores. And what I respect about them is, here you are 3 months in of owning a store. These guys, you know, Rob, you know, they've, you know,
30 plus years. Yeah.
Rob's got, in my opinion, like one of the greatest stores.
Burbank, yep.
You know, and like, but these guys have been in the business so long, but I see the level of respect they have for you for what you did. Mm-hmm. And because I know when I first came into business, they didn't respect me, because I came in as this cocky guy, like, oh, but now they respect me because I've proven to them that I belong in this space.
You build an empire, sure.
You know, so, because my biggest thing, I have so much respect for those guys, because those guys grind. Mm-hmm. This, you know, people have to understand, this industry, this is a tight margin business. You know, the guys that have been in the card market, you know, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, they worked hard for a very long time to make very little money. You know, that's what this business has always been. So for them to come in and respect you like that, and see, and to want to learn from you, I have a lot of respect for that, because they see the image and what Fanatics is trying to do, and they're on board with it. They know, hey, we want to be in this business. Fanatics is going to help us succeed, but they're going to have to go back and change things up and improve what they're doing. You know, like, I think the biggest thing that I talk about, and Fanatics is big on this, and the reason why they're going to continue to be successful, they always want to improve. They always want to improve. I tell them, oh, you're doing a phenomenal job on product. Their response is, how do we make it even better? Mm-hmm. And that's what I want to hear, because you can never be content in business, in anything. Because if you're not constantly changing, you're not going to improve. Mm-hmm. But the way that Fanatics has been making product as of late, I mean, like, I don't think there's one collector in the world that can be like, oh, these products aren't better than they were. Like even the redemption rate.
Yeah.
You realize these products have like no redemptions in them. Literally now they have like none. So like Topps Chrome Black is a product that's like, it's an average product every single year. And all of a sudden it's like the hottest product ever when it comes out. And it's like, that's Fanatics, you know, like that's just how it goes. Like, and again, products are going to continue to get better and better. Like they're doing all these promotions, you know, like I even realized the bounty I put on, you know, like I have something coming, you know, for future products, but like the bounties, they're such a great thing for these products because it creates a whole new element of chase, right? It's like you're not just chasing one card, right? You could be chasing multiple cards. And like I want to touch on one other thing. So I believe it was one of the Brady at a Bowman draft that sold on Golden, and it didn't sell for the number that they all thought it was going to. And his video after was talking about how certain people put bounties on cards and they may not actually be worth that much, but it's the bounty that's making it. He's not wrong, right? But the bounty is great. It's great for the business.
It's good marketing for it, for sure.
It's great for the business for a lot of reasons. For one, you know how many people, like I put a bounty on something. I got baseball collectors. Oh, like how do I buy that box of basketball, right? So you're getting people that would only buy basketball or football, and now you get them to buy baseball or vice versa, or whatever. So you're getting that because at the end of the day, right? Like when I grew up, I was only basketball. But like now I'm all the sports, right? I'll open anything. And I think that's what Fanatics is great at. It's like, hey, how do we get the basketball buyer to buy baseball?
Yeah.
So you see how much is being open in the other sports, but more importantly, you're creating so much more chase for people. Like imagine buying $100 box and able to hit like a $200,000 card.
Yeah.
Like that's going to change someone's life forever.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you agree with that, right?
100%. I think Fanatics has done a wonderful job of also giving each set a purpose. So every single set often has a distinct chase now. Like there's something you're going after in every set, whether it's the Bronny LeBron 1 of 1 or the MLB patch cards or the first moment cards or, you know, or other types of things. Like now they got these new Grail cards in soccer. I thought that was super cool that they talked about. I know there's not as many soccer collectors, but that concept of that, bringing that to other sports, which I'm sure they're going to do in the future. Like the Victor Wembanyama alien card, which you guys pulled that one, right? From Dynasty with the alien, you know, drawing on that.
But like, think about that, right? Like Dynasty baseball.
Yeah.
Okay. We ended up hitting the Wemby 101.
Yep.
And I actually flew to New York to actually hand deliver that card. It's funny. We went to Nobu for lunch and like, you know, one of the nicest people I ever met. Never met the guy, barely talked to him. You know, I don't want to say his name. He wants to be anonymous, but he's actually lives in Asia and like, he's not selling the card. But like, that's again, what I love about the business. Like, think about it. I'm able to fly from Vegas to New York and hand deliver a card that is worth, in my opinion, at least a couple $100,000, right? Like, and again, I had so many people like, oh, that was a mistake. Like, he's a basketball player. It's a baseball product. No, these are the type of things that Fanatics is doing to change the game.
Yeah.
It's like putting Wemby in Dynasty increased the value of the box by 25%.
Absolutely. And it got basketball people paying attention to a baseball product.
Yeah. And going back to our redemption thing earlier, Wemby and Judge, that card is a redemption, right? So again, there's 5 of them. You don't have to worry about it. You got 10 years to hit that card. And, you know, so it's really good stuff. Like I said, overall, the market is in a great place. Fanatics has been doing great things, you know, as we know. And from what we saw the last 3 or 4 days, I can't be more excited. You know, I remember when the first conference was in January of 2022 or February, when they first kind of like, it was announced that they're taking over Topps and they acquired Topps. And even then I was like, wow, like I was blown away the first year and they wanted to like, you know, increase the hobby and do all this stuff. One of the first questions that Jeff Gordon, a good friend of both of ours, one of the first questions he asked me and Rich Layton, we were together outside, and he goes, do you think there could be $100,000 modern day baseball card? Okay. Layton actually, I think, said no. And I looked at Jeff and I'm like, absolutely. I said, and he's like, well, how do we do it? I looked at him and I said one word, marketing, right? Marketing. And here we are in like $100,000 baseball card. You have a Tom Brady.
We've seen several.
So it's like.
You've got the Brady, and the 12 out of 50 hasn't even been pulled yet. You've got the Volpe MLB debut patch, which has a $150,000 bounty out on it still. I mean, that one hasn't been pulled yet.
But think about it, right? Like, look at this, right? Like, we're like 2 years from that. And you have to understand something. These products take a year plus to build.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, a lot of this stuff hasn't even really fully clicked yet. But, like, before Fanatics, there was never a $100,000 modern day baseball card.
Right.
The best card was like the Babe Ruth cut, and it's like a $25,000, $30,000 card. Mm-hmm. You never saw it. So these are the type of things that collectors have to understand, and it's only going to continue to get better and better and better. And you're seeing that, they're making new product line. Like, it's funny because what you just said before about all these different themes, like when I talk to women about our industry, there's a lot of crossover between like sports cards and like women's fashion, right? Mm-hmm. You walk into a Chanel, and it's like, what do you have? You have like 20 different design bags, and then you have 20 different colors of those bags. So it's like exactly what you said before, right? The theme is like, Fanatics is like, all right, we're going to make Top Series 1, and we're going to throw in these short print cards, right? I mean, and the best part about Top Series 1 is like, it's like $100 box, right? So you could get everyone going to a card store, buying Top Series 1. You can break it if you want. But then it's like, okay, you want Topps Dynasty, the best product in the world? It's like, yeah, you're going to get Topps Dynasty. Mm-hmm. And you're going to get Wemby cards in it. And you're going to get all these game-worn patches and these logo men from different games. And then this year, credit to the product development team, like they put in the World Baseball Classic cards. Like, do you know how well the Otanis are selling?
Yeah.
And they're all going right to Japan.
Yeah.
And it's like, so again, the theme stuff, I think it's huge. You need a lot of diversity in the space. And one thing we saw today was the new brands, which we can't talk about, but the new brands that they're going to be making. That's going to be key because we all love Chrome. We all love Finest. We all love Cosmic. We all love Series 1 and Heritage.
Sure.
But again, just wait. The next 6 to 8 months, the card industry is going to be blown. If they think this whole announcement, David Liner, no redemptions for 10 years, that's a huge deal. Just wait till you see the new products that are going to be coming out. Like Topps Chrome Basketball, the Wemby card, I mean, really? Like, remember, they don't have the license right now.
Right.
So they can only do so much.
Right.
But what they're doing without the license is insane.
It's going to be great. And you might have Wemby and LeBron dual autos and all kinds of stuff. It's going to be a ton of fun.
It's incredible.
A ton of fun.
You know? Yeah. I mean, so I'm super excited.
Good, man. Jared, it's been great to have you on the show. Thank you for coming on.
I appreciate you.
Really appreciate it, man. Really appreciate it. And for everybody out there watching, make sure to catch these full-length episodes. The Jeff Wilson Show on YouTube is where they lie, but they also sit on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts as well. Make sure you are subscribed everywhere, and we'll see you soon with our next one. Take care.